Hey guys, well, welcome back to this week's episode of the American Landman. Well, it is cold today, -10, it is freezing, and I'm out looking at properties, but I'm gonna bring you a really cool property that I actually looked at back in September of 2024, and it's finally brought to market. This is the Polk County 160. Let's go. Okay, well, this property was an old farmstead at one point, and there are a couple broken down buildings back here that are basically unusable, but they might have a little bit of life left in them. I've also noticed that there is some utilities back here. They tell me there's electric, septic, and a well. One of the best features of this property is that all these improvements I'm going to show you are actually on the northwest side of the property, leaving 40, 40, 40, and 40. So 160 acres, 4 40s, and we are not gonna really intrude in it. So when they set up the farm like this, I love to see the buildings that are close to the road, not intrusive. You always want them kind of on the corner if you can, because it adds a lot of value because it's not intrusive. That's so key. So I'm gonna explore these a little bit, but not sure if they have any use left in them. Okay, here's the first one. You know, I can see that it's got some junk in it. It actually might be usable. A lot of these came down in the last winter, snow load, but this one seems to be holding up. So it's got a little life left in it. There's an old Cadillac in there, but probably use it to store some equipment. I'll go and take a look, see what's inside. We'll send Lucy in first. Okay, well, let's see what we can see in here. Oh yeah, nice collection of stuff. An old boat in there. I see some, this is the kind of stuff you love to see, huh? Who wouldn't want one of those in your cabin? Look at that. But years and years of stuff. Now, maybe you could pick through this and you might be able to find something that's useful, but most likely you're going to be hiring a guy to take this all out. I wonder, the last time that boat was labeled or had a sticker on it for registration was 1989. It looks like it's got it's an old boat that might have some collectorability. I don't know. There's a couple old tree stands in here, but man, I tell you what I typically do with this is I just hire a guy to come in here and they'll clean this out. Just tell them to come in, throw everything in a dumpster. Maybe you pick through here, find a few things like this. This is something that, you know, might have a little bit of value. Look at that. An old sled. You don't find those very often. So, you know, a little picking in here, but most of the stuff is just junk. All right, I want to look at the other side here. Oh yeah, this side's actually collapsed. So there you go. Now, you know, maybe this is salvageable. You could replace those timbers, get some new metal up there. But yeah, this is collapsed as I thought. And what happened was a couple of years ago, this all came down because of snow load. We had copious amounts of snow a couple of years ago, and that's when a lot of these buildings, they just got too much snow on. They didn't get them cleaned off, and they come down. So I do see electric here, so it looks like there was electric brought in here. But again, knock off this side, pull all this junk out of there, throw it in a dumpster. Okay, well, I can see there's the high voltage marker, and I got an old cabin in front of me here. I looked around this earlier, and what we got here is this is actually a mobile home that's built. They built a building around it. So again, it's probably not usable, guys, but he does tell me that it had a well and a septic at one point. It was all functional back then. We don't know what it is now. When you buy these places, that's what you gotta figure out. You gotta get a guy come out here, do a well check, do a septic check, and see if it's functional. If it is, fantastic. Maybe you got the beginnings of your house development on this site again, and you got the entire property behind you. A great place to put a home. Okay, guys. Well, it is so cold out here, so I'm going to use the magic of technology. I'm going to take you back in time, back to September, when I was out here and I wasn't freezing my tush off in here, and it was very beautiful. So this scenes from this point on are from September of 2024 when I had a great tour of the property. I liked it a lot. I even wanted to buy it myself. So let's go. Okay, here's one of those places where you can find, you know, little hidey holes. And they don't have to be big fields to really attract the deer. And this is an example. Great stand sites up there, little pockets like this. And this is what I like to find. And I love making these little hidey hole food plots because, man, the deer love it. They use it during the daylight. In this case, I'm right up against a swamp, which if I can get there is on the other side of this timber here. So I'd create some trails through here, little hidey hole food plots, and this would be dynamite this fall. All right, I'm getting down in this swamp and I find this old New Holland, I think it's a manure spreader, remnants of when this was a farm. So this guy said it was an operational farm, but here we are out on this swamp and this is not bad looking. I guarantee you there's some deer holding power out there, but check this out. This is what I like to see in a property. People think this is wasteland, but if you're buying these properties for recreational purposes, this is what you like. I'd like to see a little bit more woody vegetation out there, but I'll guarantee you these deer are getting out there when the guns start shooting, and that's where they want to be. And I can hear Lucy out here a little bit. She found some water, so there's maybe some pockets. I'll get my drone up in the air and I'll fly my drone over the top of this and see what it looks like. But there's little pockets of water, or maybe I can create them. Could be some duck hunting, but for sure this is holding power on the property. And I like to see that because what it's going to do is it's going to hold down the value a little bit. This swampland is going to be valued less from a real estate standpoint, but from a huntability standpoint, which is what we like, this adds a lot of value, and I like to see this a lot. So we're going to work our way around this big swamp here on the southwest edge. We're going to get into the timber. Let's keep looking. Work my way through some tag alders, and the elevation is starting to change. So I just left that swamp area. I just kind of want to give you guys a sense what this looks like. Holy cow. Definitely can bet there will be some deer here. Okay, so now we're out. And you come into these openings like this. Now, nice little 1/8 acre food plot right here. Great bedding behind me, a little bit of food. Terrain drops just slightly off that ridge right there. Boundary line is over there. So this looks like a nice little spot. This is what I like to see. I'm looking for beds. Here's some beds. Look at this. Oh, and that's not a bed. It's a dead head. Check it out. There you go. Little dead head. So there are deer in here. So who knows what got him. There's bones scattered around here. Could be a winter kill from coyotes or something, but I found some action in here. I found a little sign that there are bucks in here, but just like I thought, you know, he's probably hanging around this area. It's nice and thick. This is a place. I'm going to put some food in here if I own it. All right, Lucy found this little buck sign. This is recent. They come in here and they're shredding. They're taking off their velvet. I mean, we're in the first week of September right now. Second week of September, I think, actually. And so the bucks are shedding their velvet. We have opening weekend this weekend. So they're going from the velvet stage to the hard antler stage, but definitely got some buck activity in here. When you guys are buying these farms and you're thinking about how am I going to set this up, you always want to take into account your ingress and egress and to figure out where the predominant winds are. How do you get into the property and out of the property without spooking deer? Because I like to leave large areas of my farms just untouched. Well, here's a great example. So this is south and southwest is that way. Northwest is behind me. So northwest winds are going to be kind of blowing across here, and there's a stand right there. And then you can't see it, but the terrain goes up and drops down. So that your ingress would be here up into that blind there. And if you put a food plot down here where I'm standing, you're right next to the swamp. So you got timber here all around you. Then you got tag alders leading to a swamp down below you right there. And that's where the deer are going to be. So easy to pop up in there. It's a little far for a bow shot, but definitely a great rifle shot, and you have access. So that's really key. So when I started looking at these properties and I'm going to sell them to guys like you, these are things that I try to point out because they have value, if not for real estate value, for the strategic huntability of the value. And when I bring a buyer like you guys around and I'm representing a seller, well, you know what I know what I'm talking about. So that helps me sell the property to you. If you're a buyer and you're shopping for a property and you want to understand how am I going to hunt it, how am I going to set up, well, I help you there as well. So I represent both sides. So let's say you guys are looking for these properties as investments, which is what we talk about a lot with my clients. I always talk about access and trails, and sometimes you don't find trails, but this is a trail we're on here that's just not mowed. And this is a perfect opportunity to come in here and add equity to a property just because you can get around on it real easy. And my guy Rick will come in for about $1,500 a day, and he'll mow this to you, and you wouldn't believe how much that he can do in a day. Now the deer are using this. There's a trail right there. The deer are using this as well, but there's a lot of value to creating access and having these trails mowed. So this would probably be the first thing I would do, and I would get this thing opened up just so I could show it and get around really easy. So great way to gain some quick equity. Okay, we're crawling into what appeared to be an opening. We found this, and I'll guarantee you this is a buck bed. Lucy's standing in it. It's back here. Got a little cover above you right here. All around cover here. We're at the end of a trail. The trail that I came in was there. And definitely something was bedding here. I wouldn't doubt if it wasn't a buck. It could be a bear. But we're heading up there because there's a nice little opening right up there we're going to try to get to. Okay, so I saw this on my mapping tool. But here's a nice little internal field. That could be a great food plot right in the center of the property, secluded, maybe a 1/4 acre in size. This is screaming food plot right here. So these food plots are, you got to get to them, right? But we got a great trail that leads right to this. Of course, we just go right through that buck bed when we come there, but I'm gonna have to push him out. But man, look at this. This is a really good looking field. It's full of bees right now. It's absolutely buzzing with life in here. Swamp there, big timber there, bedding up in there, bring them out, hunt some of these trees behind here, maybe put a bank blind up in there. It's a great setup right here. Okay, well, we are leaving a grassy bedding area, and now we're heading into the timber, and this is the beginning of probably half of the property. We're going to assess the timber value here, what we see. But right now I'm seeing some decent trees. I'm seeing a little more trail here, so we're going to follow that. We're just going to map this trail as we go. I have my tracking app on, but I like to figure out if there's any value in trees in here. There's some there. That's got some value. Nice saw log right there. You know, some of these have some nice ones. So there's definitely some tree value in here. I want to check and see if it's in the Managed Forest Law program. If it is, that can affect. And maybe when it's can affect the value, and maybe when it's going to be cut. But definitely some timber value in here. Most definitely. I'm going to check these trees out here. Okay, so to people that don't do this job all the time, you come in, you look at a property, and the agent's telling you, yeah, there's timber in here, great timber. You want to come in, you really want to assess it. And what you want to look for when you find property that you think might have timber value is look at this. See how this open here? There's some pockets that get a little greener. That's where the sunlight got in. But for the most part, in this section here is very open. There's not much understory. That tells me that this is canopied over. No sunlight's hitting the ground. So then I come in here and I look at the species of trees. I believe this is white oak. And I look at diameter of breast height. And you probably want something greater than 18 inches. Like this is probably 25 to 30 inches. This would be a great saw log. There's one there. There's one here. There's one there. There's a number of them in here. And these are the type of trees that actually have some value. Let's say maybe that one is the smaller. We might leave this one because they're growing together. Maybe take out this one because it's actually got some marketable capability. So you release this tree by taking out that tree. That's how you create value and get some of your purchase back. Some of the value that you put into the property, you can get it back in timber, and it'll help the deer too. So these are good trees. Okay, well, we're on the southeast corner of the property, and this lighter area up here is a old fallow field, and I see some fingers look like small fields down on the corner down here, and we're working our way through. So guarantee this is a bedding area. I've definitely found a trail right here, coming through here and heading right down there. And Lucy and I are going to walk this, but we're going to go down this corner because it looks to be some really secluded little food plots or something down there. Not sure what they are. I'm guessing that they're just old fallow fields that haven't been planted. But we're just going to follow the edge of the property to get down here. I see an old fence here, old line fence. This could be the line. I'm not sure. I know I'm really close to it, but here's evidence of a line fence. It's not always accurate. Sometimes it's just where they were able to put it, but we're gonna get on that side, assuming that it is the fence, and we're gonna go down in this corner, see what we can find. Come on, Lucy, let's go. Lucy follows these trails every single time. There's a nice tree right there. That's got some money. And there's a fair number of them all through this property. There's a ton of those. So there's definitely some timber value. All right, I'm almost to these little fingers. I can see the light colored vegetation up front here. See what they are. But I'm seeing a lot of good things here, and I definitely like the timber value. There's definitely some money in timber on this property. Okay, well, I am out at one of those fingers. And as I thought, it's just a fallow field, but man, there are deer beds everywhere. There's one right there. There's one right here. And there's, 4 or 5 of these little fingers like this. I don't know what they are. They come off from the neighbor's property. And I'm sure at one point they were worked and tilled or something. There's another deer bed right there. They're everywhere in here. So these can be nice little spots. Have to figure out what's at the other end, but it goes down there maybe 100 yards. And then comes up on this way 100 yards. And these, sometimes if you can get to them, might be a great food plot area. But the question is, how do you get to them, right? That's the difficulty. And sometimes you don't have to put food in everything. But you got a little terrain change right here. Slopes down, nice and quiet. If there was a way to get here, I probably would consider putting some food here, but I don't think there is. So I'm just gonna kind of explore this area right here and see what's going on off the property, determine what they're doing, and that's influencing the property. So far, I don't think they're doing anything. Okay, that stand site right there, triple trunk tree, perfect deer shot. The trail or the field goes around the corner here. This is like a corner right here. And then it leads up in here, and it looks like they had a switchgrass planting up here at one time. Weeds are kind of taking over, goldenrod. But this is the property, and here's a bed right there. And this is definitely where they're coming. So if you could sneak through the timber, man, I love these field edges. This is fantastic. And these bucks are gonna be, cruising this field looking for bedded does. And there's a lot of opportunity right here to see some cruising bucks in the fall. I think I'm off the property there, but there's these fingers of these fields that go that way. And this is the corner right here. I think if they want to travel down there, maybe put some food down there, pop in up on this side, get into that tree, have the food down here, bedding up here, ambush site. That's what this could be. Okay, well, I'm right on the line. There's looks like a hay field is what it looks like. It doesn't appear to be planted in a food plot, but this is right on the edge, and I'm actually standing on the edge of the line right here. And this is finger number 2 of 4, I think. And these are all overgrown fields. And they just kind of run into the property. It looks like they might have had some crop field nearby. I don't know if they would plant that, but that might be good. But this edge right here, there's a trail I'm following. I'm sure these deer are coming out here and feeding if that's food. And they're coming down into the property. And with the right wind, I think this would be a dynamite spot just to hunt and try to catch some cruising bucks. So there's a couple more of these little fields. I'm gonna check them out as long as I'm here. Holy cow. All right, well, I'm at the last little finger that showed up on this map, and just like the others, they're all fallow. But man, some thick stuff. I'll tell you what, this would be really good. You could have multiple box blinds, stay up on the edge of the property, come in, and I don't know what these are, but they all look like that. They're all these corridors, and these bucks, if you got in here with a mower, maybe cut yourself a shooting lane. Anything that's traveling this way, perpendicular, you're gonna have a shot. And you can come in from the high side, because this is all high up here, and then you're off the property on this side. So to be able to get in, walk a trail almost all the way here, turn the edge of your property, walk in, pop up on these blinds, 3 or 4 banks blinds, and you'd be set. All right, heading back into the timber, and we're gonna get out of here. Okay, well, we're back. We did a whole circle around the property, and we came back and we found this building here. It's hard to even show you. There's an old trailer. It's an old building. It looks like it might have been somebody's home at one point, but it's useless now. So I've done this before. You got to hire a guy to come in here and clean this up. And when you do, it changes everything, because this could be a great building site. I just don't know. Could be a well here. It could be a septic. We don't know. We'll have to look into that. But obviously it has no utility anymore. So it needs to come down. But if you put your house there and you got to look at that every day, might not be so bad. So you got to do a little research. You got to figure out what's here, abandoned wells, abandoned septics. And when you buy these properties, you got to kind of know that. You got to factor that in. Now, sometimes the sellers don't know. You call the township, you call the county, you find out what you can. And sometimes you just have to buy it as is. But these buildings, barn back there, house here, sometimes they have a little utility. This one does not. All right, well, I'm snooping through the grass and I found this. Looks like a high voltage line comes in here. Yep, high voltage. So at least we got some electric in here. We got internet, we got electric. I just don't know if we have well and septic. I'd have to just poke around here or see if I can find a map from the county and see if we got something. But there's amenities back in here for sure. Okay, well, this is a great place to end this video. I found this old tractor. I don't even know what it is, but it's from the 40s. Looks like they drove it in here, still hitched to the trailer, manure spreader, parked it, and that was it. So it's fun to explore these places. Hope you guys enjoy these videos. If I'm showing these videos, I'm trying to list this property, but sometimes they don't come out for sale, sometimes they do. But if you're looking for 160 acres in Polk County, Wisconsin, that is raw, has a lot of improvements that can be done, but it's probably great hunting land with swamp and timber, some trails. It looks pretty damn good. You just got to clean up, put a little lipstick on the pig. Give me a call, because I'm Neil Hogger, and I'm a land specialist for Whitetail Properties Real Estate, and this is the American Landman.